You finally get your invitation to apply, and you tell your spouse, you tell your mom, you start planning the move in your head. Then you upload your documents, you hit submit, and you get a message from IRCC that basically says rejected as incomplete. Not because you didn't qualify, not because your score was too low, because one thing was missing. Unreadable, expired, or didn't match what you claimed. That's what makes express entries so frustrating. It's not always the big stuff that kills your application. It's the small preventable mistakes. I'm immigration lawyer Evelyn Ackah, and in this video, I'm breaking down the top 5 express entry mistakes that get people rejected instantly. And more importantly, how to bulletproof your application so you don't lose months over something you could have fixed in one afternoon. And please stay to the end because I'm giving you a simple submit day checklist you can literally copy and use before you click that final button. All right, let's start with the fastest rejection I see. Mistake number 1, missing or incorrect language test results. Express entry does not exist without language test results. And if your test is missing, expired, the wrong type, or entered incorrectly, you're not getting a warning email. You're getting a refusal. Here's how people mess this up. They take the wrong exam version, they upload the wrong document, they type 1 digit wrong in the test number, they upload a scan that's blurry or cropped, or the test expires right before IRCC reviews it. And that last one is brutal because people assume, well, I had valid results when I created my profile, everything will be okay. But IRCC doesn't care what you used to have. They care what's valid when they assess your file. Quick story. I had a client, we'll call him Robert. He had solid scores, he qualified, everything looked fine. But his uploaded scan was low quality. One number was hard to read. IRCC couldn't verify it cleanly, and he got refused. Not please re-upload, not can you clarify the refusal. He was refused. So here's how to fix for language tests. Confirm it's an approved test and the correct version of the test. Confirm the results will still be valid when you apply, not just today, but at the time that they get to your application. Make sure you upload a clean, readable file. No shadows, no blur, no cropped corners. Triple check the test number and any PIN fields you entered match exactly. And here's a mindset that saves people. Do not treat language scores like a one-time checkbox. Treat them like milk in your fridge. If it's close to expiring, don't gamble. Replace it. Do the test again so that you have valid test results at the time. Mistake number 2, missing or unverifiable work experience. This one hurts because people think, I did the job, I deserve the points. But express entry doesn't award points for what you did. It awards points for what you can prove. If your work experience can't be verified with proper documentation, IRCC can refuse you or remove the points that made you eligible in the first place. Here's what goes wrong. Some applicants submit a reference letter that's basically a nice letter, not a proof letter. It says, John worked here from 2018 to 2020. He's a great employee. That is useless for IRCC. Other people choose a knock code that sounds right, but the duties in their letter don't match the knock duties they claimed. Or they claim full-time hours, but the letter doesn't confirm the hours. Or the employer looks untraceable. No letterhead, no contact information, no real signature, no professional format, and IRCC can't validate it. I remember a client from Britain who worked for a family business. The letter was signed by a relative. No letterhead, no company contact information, and the duties were written casually, with spelling errors even. IRCC could not confirm it was a legitimate work experience, and she lost her invitation to apply. So here's how you can protect yourself. Before you claim points for any job, ask yourself one question. If IRCC had to verify this job without speaking to me, would my documents convince them? Your reference letters should clearly show your job title, your dates of employment, your hours per week that you worked, and whether it's full-time or part-time, your salary, your main duties, and your responsibilities, and credible employer details, company information, and real signatory name. Then you do the matching step that people often skip. Read your chosen knock and compare it for your listed duties. If your duties don't match, don't hope it's fine. Fix the letter or fix the knock selection before you submit your application. And if your employer is closed, doesn't do letterhead anymore, or refuses to cooperate, you're not automatically doomed, but you need alternative proof and clear explanation like pay stubs, contracts, tax documents, proof of deposits, anything that makes your claim verifiable that you were employed with this employer. Because the moment your work experience becomes questionable, your application becomes fragile. Mistake number 3, incorrect proof of funds. Proof of funds is another silent killer because people think it's just show a bank balance. Done. No. IRCC is looking for stability, legitimacy, and accountability, not a screenshot of money that appeared yesterday. If you're required to show proof of funds, here are the classic mistakes I often see. A sudden large deposit with no explanation. Money that looks borrowed. Funds locked in something you can't actually access quickly. Bank letters missing required details. Statements that are outdated. And a balance that drops below the required minimum during the process. Here's a real-world example. A family sells property to fund their move to Canada. That's great. That's totally legitimate. But then a huge transfer hits the bank account right before they apply. That's where people get rejected, not because the money is illegal, but because the story isn't documented properly. If you can't show a paper trail for that big deposit, IRCC sees a red flag. So here's the fix. Your proof of funds should tell a calm, boring story. Not money appeared, but here's where the funds came from. Here's the documentation trail. Use a proper bank letter that includes the key details of your transaction. IRCC expects that. Back it up with statements that show consistency. And if there's a big deposit, attach proof that there's a sale agreement or a gift deed where appropriate, or transaction receipts or tax documents, whatever applies. And one more thing, people don't realize this isn't only about having the money on your submission day. You have to maintain eligibility through the entire permanent residence process. So don't move money around like crazy right after you submit. Don't drain the bank account. Don't assume nobody checks again. Because if they do and the money's not there, there's a problem. Mistake number 4, incomplete or incorrect personal information. It's just a typo rejection. Express entry is an extremely literal process. If your identity details don't match your passport exactly, you can trigger delays, refusals, or serious credibility issues. Common problems such as using a nickname instead of your legal name, swapping first and last names, wrong date of birth format, wrong passport number, inconsistent marital status information, or forgetting to declare a family member. And let's talk about the family member issue, because it's not just a mistake, it can be dangerous. If you forget to list a spouse or a child, IRCC can see that and treat it as misrepresentation. And we know misrepresentation is one of the fastest ways to destroy long-term plans and your credibility. Even if your child is not coming to Canada right now or if ever, even if you're separated, even if it's a complicated family situation, you must declare it. So here's the fix. When you enter personal information, don't type it from memory. Open the passport, copy it exactly, then do a second pass where you compare and ensure and double check. Profile name versus passport name, passport number, issue and expiry dates, marital status, children and dependents. And if you've had a name change, include all the documentation so the story matches. The goal is simple. Make your identity and family information clean, consistent, and impossible to question. Mistake number 5, uploading incomplete or incorrect documents. This is the most common rejection because it's so easy to do when you're stressed. Express entry is checklist driven, and the checklist does not care that you were tired at 2 o'clock in the morning. If a required document is missing, wrong, or unreadable, duplicated, or uploaded into the wrong slot on the portal, your application could be rejected as incomplete. Here are the classics. Uploading the same document twice by accident, uploading a police certificate into the wrong field, corrupted files that won't open, blurry scans, missing police certificates for countries you've lived in, or submitting a police certificate that doesn't meet the timing rules. Quick story. Someone lived in the UAE for 1 year. They uploaded everything else perfectly, but forgot the UAE police certificate. IRCC treated that application as incomplete, and they had to start completely all over again. So how do you prevent this? You need an upload audit system. Here's mine. Step 1, rename every file clearly before the upload. Example, police certificate, France, not scan number 47. Step 2, upload slowly, 1 slot at a time. Step 3, after uploading, download each file from the portal preview and open it. Not it should be fine, open it and check. Step 4, Confirm it's readable, complete, and in the correct spot. And for police certificates specifically, make sure you start early because some countries take weeks to get the police certificate. And if you wait until you're invited, you're now racing a deadline with documents you don't control. The submit day checklist that I promised you. Here's what I want you to do before you hit submit on your portal application. Language test. Correct test, valid, readable. Numbers entered correctly. 2. Work experience. Reference letters prove duties, dates, hours, pay, and match your NOT code. Proof of funds. Proper bank letter, consistent history, explained big deposits. Personal information matches passport exactly. Family members disclosed correctly. And 5, upload, audit, and make sure everything is in the right slot and it can be opened and readable. If you do just this, you eliminate the most common instant rejection traps. So those are the 5 express entry mistakes that get people rejected instantly. Language test, problems, of course, unverifiable work experience, proof of funds, errors, incorrect personal information, and incomplete uploads. Each one can end your PR plan before it even starts. But every time you do this, every one of them is preventable if you slow down and use the system. If you want the next steps after this, go watch the next video on temporary to permanent options, including what pathways still exist right now and what to do if express entry isn't your best route. See you over there.